Woo! What's going on, guys? Owen Storm coming at you guys today with another video. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about yesterday's football game. The Green Bay Packers visiting the Detroit Lions at Ford Field. This is the aftermath. Detroit Lions win. It's Victory Monday. The Packers lose 9-15. 15 being Detroit, 9 for Green Bay. Packers fall to 3-6. Still second in their division, and the Lions go up to 2-6, still at the bottom of the barrel, fourth in that division. It's a victory, though, a divisional game, and Rodgers has a meltdown. Rodgers' meltdown the whole game is pretty funny to watch, actually. Ugly football game, though, but we'll get into that in a bit. Let's talk about some stats. We'll go the Packers first because they were the away team. Quarterback Aaron Rodgers was 23 for 43 at a 53% completion percentage, 291 yards, a touchdown, 3 picks, and sacked once, pressured a couple times as well. Did not have a good football game. We'll talk about that in a bit. Rushing, Aaron Rodgers led the team in rushing, man. 4 rushes for 40 yards, 10 yards per clip. A.J. Dillon had 11 carries for 34 yards at 3.1. And then Aaron Jones had 9 rushes for 25 at 2.8. He got a little dinged up later on in the game, too, as well. The Packers as a unit, though, as a whole, they did rush for over 106 yards on the ground, so they did get over 100 yards, but they just couldn't really get anything going. Receiving, Alan Lazard had a decent day, 4 catches, 87 yards, and 1 touchdown on 10 targets. Tight end Josiah DeGuara had 5 catches for 41 yards on 5 targets, caught all his balls thrown to him. Rookie wide receivers Samori Toure had 2 catches for 34 yards on 4 targets. Tight end Robert Tonyan had 3 catches for 29 yards on 4 targets. Running back Aaron Jones had a couple of catches for 20 yards as well, and a couple of targets too. Their other rookie, Romeo Dobbs, had 1 catch for 18 yards. Right away, banged up, hit low, but I think it was by Mike Hughes. I kind of forget who it was who hit him. Mike Hughes hit him low, and then there was another Lion in there somewhere, and then he got hurt. He had a little bit of trouble getting off the field and eventually carted off into the locker room, didn't come back. So that was big. And then for their defense didn't really do a lot, even though it was such a low-scoring game. Linebacker Chris Barnes had 8 tackles. Defensive tackle Kenny Clark had 7 tackles. Linebacker, a rookie Quay Walker had 7 tackles. No, he had 5 tackles. Sorry, he did have a big tackle for loss, though. I do remember that. And defensive end Rashawn Gary. He only had 3 tackles. He ended up getting hurt, too. We'll talk about that, too. And then cornerback Jair Alexander had 2 tackles. He did have a pick. That was a really bad throw by Jared Goff. Now for the Lions stats, quarterback Jared Goff, he was terrible, too, just like Aaron Rodgers was. Here, I'm trying to fix this here. He was terrible as well, just like Aaron Rodgers. They both were really bad. He was 14 for 26, 53% completion percentage, 137 yards. Couple touchdowns, though. A really bad pick. Wasn't sacked. Was hurried a couple times. Was hit a few times, but didn't really get too much pressure on him. But he did have some pressure on him, obviously. And he was just terrible. Him and Rodgers were bad. They were just really bad. It was a bad offense. It was one of those games where you were looking to see some offense. Wrong game. Wrong game. This was bad offensively. And then running back Jamal Williams, he was 24 for 81 yards, 3.4 yards per carry. He did have a 2-point conversion as well. Running back Justin Jackson was 4 carries for 27 yards at 6.8 yards per carry. They got to get him going, I think, a little bit more too as well. And then running back DeAndre Swift only had 2 carries for 10 yards at 5 yards per clip. But he looked like he was a decoy out there. I can say one thing about him in this game. He looked more explosive in this game than he did last week. Last week, he looked like he was running through mud. This week, it looked like he was hitting the holes a little bit harder, but they only rushed him a couple times. So he's out there being a decoy right now. And they're receiving Amon-Ra St. Brown. Had 4 catches for 55 yards on 9 targets. Running back DeAndre Swift had 3 catches for 40 yards on 4 targets. Wide receiver Khalif Raymond, 3 catches for 17 yards on all 3 targets. Caught all his balls. And then tight end, another rookie, James Mitchell. He had 2 catches for 8 yards, 1 touchdown, and he did one of his other catches were a big 3rd down conversion that converted into a 1st down. So made a little bit of noise. Didn't have a big production day. Did get in the end zone though, and did have a big catch for a 1st down. And then the other tight end, Shane Zylstra, a 2nd-year guy, Had one catch for 1 yard and a touchdown on one target. So the tight ends, man, you know what I mean? TJ Hawkinson gone. We've got some production from a unit here. And they got in the end zone twice, man. 2 tight ends, 2 tight end touchdowns. So, you know, I don't know if they're trying to make this a point, but that's what happened. And then the defense, man, the defense stood up. The defense played great, man. Now, you know, we can sit here and we can point fingers on at lack of weaponry on both sides of the ball for Rodgers and Goff. We can do all that, but these guys are professionals at the end of the day. And our defense completely stood their ground against one of the best quarterbacks that ever played the game. Okay? Yeah, and I know he's not the same Aaron Rodgers. He might, you know, he doesn't look like his throws are as crisp, as accurate. He still shines every now and then, though. You can still see it in him. But they shut him down pretty much, man. He got a little bit of yardage against us, but they picked him off 3 times. Now, safety rookie Kirby Joseph, man, has balled out. Like this has been a Brad Holmes kind of coming out party, it seems like, for his young kids. His especially this year's draft. They all made plays, man. Everybody made plays. James Mitchell on offense. Sewell played well. Kirby Joseph, 10 tackles, 2 picks. You know, he had a really nice pass breakup as well, too. That was a sure touchdown. It looked like it was a little bit underthrown by Aaron Rodgers, but if you really look at that play, Kirby Joseph gets up and just knocks the ball away, extends fully, knocks the ball away. It was a beautiful play. You know, usually you'll see Aaron Rodgers make those throws, but this defensive play was phenomenal. It was probably his best play of the game. It was probably his best play of the game. He did have 2 picks with the 10 tackles. The 1 pick was bounced off Derek Barnes' helmet, and then into the end zone. He jumped up. He outjumped one of his own guys. I don't know if it was Deshaun Elliott. I don't know who it was, but it went up all in the air, and he just got up. The kid's got some ups, man. The kid can get up. He's really athletic, man. Kirby Joseph is really athletic, and he's playing really good football, man. This last month, he's playing really, really good, man. Developing early. Safety Deshaun Elliott, he had 7 tackles too as well. Another pickup by Brad Holmes. Cornerback Jeff Okudah had 5 tackles and a forced fumble. Wasn't good in coverage though. He got beat by Lazard on that 1 touchdown. That Lazard did have, because Lazard did have a touchdown. Yeah, 87 yards and a touchdown. So he didn't really have a good game covering. I'm not going to sit here and say that Okudah had a really good game, but he did have 5 tackles and a forced fumble that the Lions almost got back. And then linebacker and Derek Barnes he was a beast. He had 12 tackles, a sack, pass deflect, the ball went off his head, and then a tackle for loss. He was all over the field. It looks like he's starting to get a little bit more play in there. It looks like him, and because I think, you know, Malcolm Rodriguez was banged up. He got banged up in this game. We'll talk about that in a bit too. And he got a lot more playing time. He was in for Anzalone. He was in for Malcolm. It's time to start playing Derek Barnes because he's played, I think, 2 good games in a row. 2 good games in a row now, and he's a guy that's starting to develop too. It's his 2nd year, remember, man. I said Barnes was going to be a developing player, and hey, man, maybe he's developing a little bit earlier than we think, and that's a good thing. And then linebacker Chris Board, you know, he doesn't get in a lot, but he did have a tackle and a forced fumble. And then defensive end rookie Aiden Hutchinson only had a couple tackles, couple pressures. He flushed out Aaron Rodgers out of the pocket a couple times. And he did have a great pick, too. It looked like weird throw by Aaron Rodgers, kind of play action, right at the goal line. Tried to kind of like loft it over a couple guys' heads. It looked, Aiden Hutchinson kind of looked like, Aiden Hutchinson wasn't even in the play, it didn't look like. And kind of made a beeline towards the ball, snatched it low. Real nice, soft hands by the big man. And if you look at that play again, it really looks like even if Hutchinson didn't get to that ball, Malcolm Rodriguez looks like he was right there as well. I don't know if Rodriguez would have got his hand on it because the angle's kind of funny. You know, I was trying to rewind it, watching it, and I was watching it. It almost looks like Rodriguez was there. I'm not sure if he would have got his paws on it, but he was around the ball. But Hutchinson came out of nowhere. It looked like Hutchinson came out of nowhere and just snatched the ball out of the air. It was a weird throw by Aaron Rodgers. I don't know what he was trying to do there, but hey, man, hey, you're in the right place at the right time, make the pick. Aiden Hutchinson, that's why you're picked second overall, to make plays like that. So it was a good play by Hutch, his first NFL career. I believe it was his first career ever, I think. First career interception ever. I don't know if he got one in college. I'm not sure if he ever got one in college, but he has one in the pros. And then that was really it, man. You know, their defense stood up. You know, they pretty much stopped the run, I thought, even though they rushed for over 100 yards on the ground as a unit. But they were really good, man. They're really good defensively. This was a defensive win. You know, offense on both sides of the ball didn't do jack. Rodgers was terrible. Goff was terrible. They couldn't really get the run game going, I didn't think. Detroit, Green Bay really couldn't get it going. Williams did have 81 yards on the ground. He was getting only 3.4 yards per carry, though. But, you know, it was kind of just a sloppy, ugly game. It was one of those ugly wins. But some of the injuries, man, like Packers lost Romeo Doubs earlier with that ankle. Running back Aaron Jones with an ankle injury. Cornerback Eric Stokes had a knee and an ankle thing going on. Defensive end Rashawn Gary had a knee. He was getting carted off. Christian Watson, their rookie. Another concussion for that kid. That kid keeps getting concussed, man. This is like his second week in a row concussed. Second or third week in a row concussed. They need to sit that kid, man. That kid's not going to have a brain. It's going to turn into pudding. And I'm not even trying to be funny about it, but this kid gets hit, he's concussed. So maybe rest him. You know what I mean? It's a little bit dangerous. And the linebacker Chris Barnes, he ended up getting hurt too. He ended up having a concussion. And then the Lions, we lost running back Craig Reynolds during that game with a rib injury. Kirby Joseph got dinged up a little too. Okuda kind of ran into him, but he ended up coming back. Then Rodrigo ended up getting taken out by Kirby Joseph. The Lions were running into each other on defense. They were hitting everybody and themselves. So, but Rodrigo left for a bit. He was hyperextending his arm. He's moving his elbow around. He came back with a big wrap on his arm. He was all wrapped up. Played, tough kid. But he was seen with the brace at the end of the game. And I guess he's being reevaluated right now. So there's a possibility when we might be not having Rodrigo playing against the Chicago Bears coming up. So stay tuned for that. I don't really know the full details of it just yet, but it could be some bad news for the Detroit Lions and Rodrigo. But like I said, this game was just a sloppy, ugly game. Like 15-9, not much to talk about. Not much to talk about. We scored a couple short yardage touchdowns, a couple goal line touchdowns. Goff threw one to Shane Zylstra on a really nice play where Zylstra kind of released, was wide open. Goff hit him. And then there was another play. They were on the goal line again. It was rookie James Mitchell kind of released, he kind of stutter stepped. It looked like, and then he kind of slept his defender. He put his defender kind of to sleep because he was kind of just jogging. Then he just bolted to the right. He bolted to his right and it was wide open. It was actually a really nice route by the rookie, James Mitchell, man. He kind of lulled his guy to sleep. Looked like he wasn't really doing much. He was kind of just going through the motions. And then he just cut to his right. Goff was patient, went through his progressions. That was a nice read by Goff. I'm going to be sit here and I'm going to be total honest with you about Jared Goff. You know, on that touchdown and with him and Zylstra, easy wide open guys, yes, but he did go through his progressions really good there. He did on those 2 touchdown passes, even though people would say, well, Jared Goff, you know, he's an absolute piece of dog shit. He shouldn't be on this team. I agree to some point of that, but those 2 touchdown throws, you know, he was patient. He was at least patient, didn't rush them. They were wide open. He could have missed them. And we scored the touchdowns on him. So, but he wasn't good yesterday, okay? I don't really care what Rodgers did. He has his own problems. He has his own problems. But Detroit, this offense is starting to, what am I gonna, like, what's the word I'm trying to, it's starting to get a little bit stale. It's starting to get a little bit stale, man. They're not scoring a ton of points like they were. And like I said, we can sit here and we can point the fingers at the lack of weaponry, at this and that, at the play calling, at this and that. But Goff has not been good. He has not been good whatsoever. And he needs to be better. If he wants to be the future quarterback of this team, he needs to be better. I think this team is going to eventually draft a quarterback, but that's a whole other video. But Their offense was terrible. You know, their running game, they did rush over 100-something yards as a unit too, so they did accomplish that feat, but they just don't. They just look like they're going through the motions right now in this offense. And Goff needs to get better, man. He was making some awful throws. He almost, like, he had that one really bad pick to Jair Alexander. Never should have threw it to St. Brown. I don't know what he was looking at. And then he threw a couple balls that were batted in the air that should have been picked. He threw one right into a D lineman's hands, who dropped it. And he should have had 2-3 picks himself easily. He got lucky on a couple dropped interceptions. So he wasn't good. Rodgers wasn't good. Both offenses were terrible. Both defenses did come to play, though, even though Packers defense didn't make a lot of game-changing plays, obviously. No sacks, 1 pick. We ended up getting a sack. We ended up getting some tackles for losses. We ended up getting, 3 interceptions, a sack or 2. The young guys really coming out to play for this game just played by against the Green Bay Packers. It was a solid all-around play by the defense, and this is all you can really ask for. This is all you can really ask for. It looks like this defense is getting a little bit better. You know, they're getting a little bit better. The offense is getting kind of worse, and the defense is getting better. We can never be in the same in sync. We can never be in sync. It's always one or the other. So, but at least the defense is playing better. They win the game. They're 2-6 right now, Detroit Lions. Ugly win, but we'll take it as of right now. But you can't play games like this and expect to win many games. You can't really expect to win many games when you play football like this. This was ugly all around, especially when you're playing at home. Like, these type of games are type of games you win on the road. You know, this is ugly. This is a home game. The crowd's behind you. Everyone's behind you. You got to play better football. You know, the Packers are reeling. This team's in trouble. That team's in trouble. They look like they're going to be in a full-on rebuild coming in January. So that's their deal. You know, we got our other issues, man. We got other issues. We're facing the Chicago Bears next, and I believe they're 3-6 as well too, right? Or yeah, I don't think they've even had a bye. They're 3-6 or 3-5, whatever they are. And it looks like Chicago, you know, we'll talk more about them, but it looks like they're kind of playing a little bit better. Fields is playing a little bit better. He's still not that great of a thrower, but he runs the ball very well. And we'll talk about that, but we're going to Chi-Town. If I want to start taking this team serious, string together some wins. You know, just because you won one bad game against a really bad football team in Green Bay, which I thought they were going to lose, by the way. I did. I picked Green Bay to win this game. And I'll probably end up picking Chicago. But if they want to be taken serious, string together some wins. Let's see what you can do there. But as of right now, you know, we're going to Chicago. It's 2 bad football teams, in my opinion. It should be a tough game. It's always a tough game going to Chicago or going anywhere in the division. So it should be a good game. It should be a good game, but we're going there. String together a couple wins. I'll start taking this team a lot more serious, man. But as of right now, you know, got the win. Get it off your chest, man. You know, celebrate it. But you got other problems, man. So you got other problems. You got Chi-Town to face. And it's a winnable game, but we'll see what happens, man. Thanks for the video, guys. I appreciate it. It's all good, man. One pride. Go Lions. Let's go, baby. Boom.